For the remainder of your life, listen carefully, because what you say to yourself in the quiet moments of the day will decide where you stand tomorrow. For the next 3 days, I want you to speak these truths into your own heart and watch your life begin to shift in ways you never imagined when doubt begins to creep into your mind. For the remainder of your life, it is important to remember that the limits you feel are not real barriers, but walls you have constructed through fear and hesitation. The moment you realize this, the chains holding you back start to weaken. Every great achievement began with someone deciding that the rules they believed in were not permanent truths. For the remainder of your life, when you remind yourself of this, you open the door to possibilities you once thought were unreachable. For of your life, the question is not whether you can do it, but whether you will allow yourself to believe that you can. Throughout life, people tell you what is impossible, what is unrealistic, and what is too ambitious. But those words are only powerful if you accept them. The same applies to the quiet voice within you that whispers doubt. For the remainder of you have the choice to silence it and replace it with a voice of confidence. Instead of feeding that voice with reasons why something cannot happen, start giving it evidence of why it can. Even the smallest action in the right direction becomes a victory that fuels your belief in yourself. You must learn to observe your own thoughts carefully. Each time a limiting belief surfaces, challenge it. Ask yourself why you think it's true and whether it is serving your goals. Often, you will discover that these beliefs are simply old fears repeated so many times that you mistook them for facts. The moment you expose them, they lose their hold over you. This process requires courage and persistence, but it will strengthen you in ways you never imagined. With every moment you practice this, your confidence grows. You begin to realize that what once seemed impossible is no longer out of reach. This realization doesn't just change what you do, it changes who you are. For the real life, it trans the way you carry yourself, the way you speak, and the way you look at your future. You start to feel a new energy, a new fire burning within you for the remainder of life, because you have proven to yourself that the barriers were never real to begin with. When you fully embrace this truth, you step into a new level of freedom. For the thoughts you repeat to yourself shape everything about your future. Every action you begins as an idea, and every idea begins with the words you tell yourself. For the remainder of life, if you continue to feed your mind with weakness, you will live a weak life. If you fill it with strength, you will rise above every obstacle. What you tell yourself in silence has more power than what anyone else says about you. By choosing thoughts of courage, you give yourself permission to step into the life you want. For the remainder morning, when you wake up, your mind offers you 2 choices: believe in the same doubts that kept you stuck yesterday, or speak new words that lift you higher. For the remainder of your life, the choice you make in those first few moments creates momentum that carries into the rest of the day. If you begin with strength, your decisions will reflect that strength. For the remainder of your life, if you begin with fear, every opportunity will seem like a risk you're not ready for. This is why the discipline of what you repeat to yourself is so vital. It sets the tone for your entire life. Strength is not about pretending everything is easy. For the remainder of life, it is about choosing empowering thoughts even when life feels hard. Vision is not about knowing every step. It is about seeing something better for yourself and refusing to settle for less. Courage is not about the absence of fear. It is about moving forward, even when fear is loud. For the remainder of your life, when you choose thoughts like these, you train your mind to respond differently to challenges, and soon those challenges no longer control you. For the remainder of your life, repetition turns these thoughts into beliefs. At first, speaking words of strength might feel forced, but the more you repeat them, the more your subconscious begins to accept them as truth. And once your mind accepts something as truth, it begins to search for evidence to support it. This is how transformation begins, from a single repeated statement of who you are and who you are becoming. When you realize the weight of the words you speak to yourself, you understand why they must be chosen with precision. Words of weakness slowly drain your energy and convince you that quitting is an option. Every time you say, "I can't," you give permission for your mind to stop trying. But when you speak commands of strength, you awaken a part of yourself that refuses to settle, telling yourself, "I will rise, I will overcome, or I will win," isn't just encouragement. It is instruction to your subconscious mind to prepare for victory. The language of defeat serves no purpose But to anchor you where you are, you must train yourself to recognize it the moment it appears. Replace "I am not ready" with "I am preparing every day." Replace "I am not good enough" with "I am becoming stronger by the minute." This shift is more than motivation. It is rewiring the way you see yourself. The more you practice it, the more naturally it flows, until words of strength become the only vocabulary you use. This discipline transforms your response to challenges. When faced with difficulty, most people default to complaining or doubting. But when you have trained your mind to issue commands, instead, you respond with clarity and resolve. Rather than saying, "I can't handle this," you command yourself, "Stand tall, move forward, find a way." That command creates action. Action creates results. Results fuel belief. Over time, these empowering words carve out a new identity. You begin to see yourself not as someone struggling to survive, but as someone destined to lead, to win, to rise. You no longer tolerate self-pity or excuses because they do not align with who you are becoming. You notice when negative thoughts try to sneak back in, and you shut them down immediately because you've learned their cost is too high. This change might feel unnatural at first, but if you commit to it, you will notice your posture change, your confidence grow, and your decisions align with a stronger. Every time your mind whispers, "I can't," there is a quiet decision being made about the kind of life you will live. If you allow those words to remain, they begin to spread into every part of your thinking, convincing you that what you want is out of reach. But if you challenge them immediately with, "I will," you disrupt the cycle of limitation. This single shift from doubt to determination begins to rewire how you respond to every challenge ahead. It may not silence fear instantly, but it gives you a voice louder than fear itself. "I can't" comes from a place of hesitation, often built by past failures or moments when you didn't believe in yourself. But the past does not have the right to dictate your future. By choosing to replace that thought with "I will," you declare that your future is shaped by what you decide now, not by what has happened before. It's an act of rebellion against the excuses that have held you back. It's a statement that says, "I am no longer bound by what I used to believe about myself." This practice is powerful because it trains your mind to act differently when life challenges you. Instead of freezing under pressure, you begin to take action. Instead of hesitating at the sight of obstacles, you start looking for ways to climb them. Every time you say, "I will," you are programming your mind to search for solutions instead of problems. This is how small victories are won. Not by waiting for fear to disappear, but by moving forward despite its presence. Over time, these words stop being something you repeat and start becoming part of your identity. You no longer say, "I will," to convince yourself. You say it because you know it's true. This mindset transforms the way you approach goals, relationships, and challenges. It gives you the confidence to step into opportunities others might shy away from, because you've trained yourself to expect growth rather than defeat. When you commit to this for just a few days, you start to notice how often, "I can't." For the remainder of life, if you can master what you say to yourself, you take hold of the very steering wheel of your life. Your actions are born from your thoughts, and your thoughts are shaped by the words you repeat in silence. If those words are destructive, your behavior will follow that same destructive path. But if you feed your mind with strength and direction, your actions will naturally begin to align with progress. This is why control of self-talk is not just an idea. For the remainder of life, it is the first step toward controlling your future. Most people think that change begins with what they do, but the truth is that what they do is always a reflection of what they believe. When your inner dialogue is chaotic, inconsistent, or negative, your actions will mirror that confusion. But when you take time to discipline the voice inside, to speak with clarity and intention, your choices begin to reflect that strength. The simple act of telling yourself, "I am capable," or "I will get this done," becomes the spark that moves you toward action when you might otherwise hesitate. Control over self-talk also creates consistency. It keeps you moving even when motivation fades, because your inner voice no longer waits for perfect conditions. It tells you to take the next step, no matter how small, and to keep taking steps until the result appears. This mindset turns effort into habit and habit into momentum. Soon, you find yourself making progress automatically for the remainder of your life because the voice inside you only speaks the language of persistence. As this control deepens, you begin to notice that setbacks no longer carry the same weight they once did. For the remainder of your life, failure doesn't define you because the voice inside is already instructing you to rise again. Instead of spiraling into doubt, you respond with, "What can I learn?" For the remainder of your life, what can I do next? This is how you transform challenges into fuel. It is not about avoiding problems, but mastering your response to them through the words you choose to repeat. When you finally understand this power, you stop waiting for external encouragement to keep going. You stop relying on applause, validation, or luck to determine your path. For the remainder of your life, you realize that the strongest force guiding your life has always been the dialogue within. And once you take control of that dialogue, you gain control of your. For the mere life, every step you take, no matter how small, is evidence that you are committed to the life you are building. For the remainder of your life, it is easy to overlook these small actions because they don't always feel dramatic or life-changing in the moment. But over time, for the remainder of your life, these consistents create a pattern of progress that cannot be denied. When you look back, the remainder of your life, you will realize that the moments you doubted yourself were the same moments where progress was quietly being built beneath the surface. For the remainder of life, each step forward is a silent promise you make to yourself that you will not give up. This mindset changes how you see effort. You stop dismissing the little things as insignificant and start viewing them as proof of discipline. Waking up early, showing up even when tired, and choosing focus over distraction. These may seem like minor victories, but together they are the foundation of success. Every time you choose growth over comfort, you are leaving evidence of your commitment behind you. And that evidence builds confidence because you can point to the actions you've taken and say, for the remainder of doing this, there will be days when your progress feels invisible, when it seems as if nothing is changing. In those moments, for the remainder of your life, remembering that every step counts becomes crucial. You are planting seeds, and while you may not see growth immediately, the roots are forming beneath the surface. For life, the life you desire doesn't appear overnight. It is built quietly through repeated proof of your own dedication. The patience to keep walking forward, even without immediate results, separates those who succeed from those who quit. As you continue to take these steps, your identity begins to shift. You no longer see yourself as someone hoping for change. You see yourself as someone creating it. This change in identity fuels even more consistent action because you begin to believe deeply in your own capability. The stronger this belief becomes, the more unstoppable your momentum grows. Progress feeds belief, and belief fuels even greater progress. Eventually, for the remainder of your life, you realize that path itself is the proof of. Most people will encounter challenges and immediately see reasons to stop. They see walls, closed doors, and unfair circumstances, and their first instinct is to retreat. But when you train your mind differently, those same walls look like chances to grow stronger. Instead of saying, "This is the end," you begin asking, "What can I learn here?" For the remainder of your life, how can this move me forward? This shift in perspective doesn't remove the challenge, but it gives you power over how you face it. Opportunities rarely come packaged as something comfortable or easy. They often appear disguised as problems, setbacks, or even failures. For the remainder of your life, the person who succeeds is the one who knows how to look past the discomfort and recognize the hidden value inside. When you teach yourself to think this way, obstacles become stepping stones instead of roadblocks. Every difficulty holds a lesson, and every lesson equips you for the next level of your journey. This mindset requires practice because against the natural instinct to avoid pain. At first, you will catch yourself wanting to complain or give up, but if you pause and reframe the situation, you will begin to see possibilities you missed before. Maybe the obstacle is showing you a skill you need to develop, or pushing you toward a direction you hadn't considered. Over time, this habit of searching for opportunity within struggle becomes automatic. When you adopt this way of thinking, you stop fearing challenges and start seeking them out. You understand that every obstacle overcome adds to your strength and resilience. The more you overcome for the remainder of your life, the more confidence you gain, and soon even large challenges no longer intimidate you. For the remainder of your life, you realize that growth and opportunity are always connected. You cannot have one without facing the other. Eventually, this perspective transforms the way you live. For the remainder of your life, you begin to welcome difficulties as chances to improve rather than as punishments to endure. While others spend energy resisting hardship, for the remainder of life, use hardship to sharpen your vision and strengthen your resolve. Life will always bring. For the remainder of your life, every small act of discipline might feel insignificant in the moment, but over time, those tiny efforts begin to stack into something far greater than you could imagine. For the remainder of life, the challenges that results do not appear immediately, and because of this, many people quit before they experience the reward. For the remainder of your life, what they fail to see is that each decision to stay focused, each choice to push through discomfort, is laying the bricks for a foundation that will eventually support something extraordinary. The power of consistency is invisible at first, but unstoppable when it finally appears. Discipline is rarely convenient. It asks you to sacrifice comfort, to keep going when no one is watching, and to commit even when motivation fades. But it is in these unseen moments that character is built. Every time you show up, whether it's for your work, your growth, or your dreams, for the remainder of your life, you're proving to yourself that you can be trusted with your own goals. That trust builds confidence, and confidence becomes fuel for even greater effort. The people who achieve remarkable things are not the ones who do everything perfectly, but the ones who refuse to stop doing the small things. They understand that discipline doesn't demand perfection, it demands persistence. Missing one day doesn't destroy the journey, but refusing to return does. By recommitting daily, you create an unbroken chain of actions that eventually turn into habits, and habits turn into identity. With time, those small disciplined acts begin to compound. The skills sharpen, the body strengthens, the mind becomes resilient. What felt impossible months ago now feels natural, because discipline has transformed you from the inside out. This compounding effect doesn't just change what you achieve, it changes who you are, because you have proven to yourself that you can do hard things consistently. Eventually, for the remainder of your life, others will notice when you repeat your vision to yourself often enough, it begins to sink into the deepest parts of your mind. At first, these words may feel strange. Your life, almost like you are forcing yourself to believe something that isn't true yet, but repetition has power. Every time you affirm what you are becoming, you carve a deeper groove into your thoughts, making it impossible to forget the path you are walking. Over time, this repetition turns possibility into certainty. For the remainder of your life, the mind is constantly seeking evidence for the things it hears most often. If you fill it with words of doubt, it will collect reasons to hold you back. But if you fill it with a vision of who you are becoming, it will begin to look for ways to align your actions with that vision. You will start noticing opportunities you missed before for the remainder of your life, and you will naturally move toward choices that support your growth. This isn't chance, it's your mind following the direction you gave it. Speaking your vision consistently also strengthens it in moments of weakness. When you face setbacks or days of low motivation, those repeated words rise to the surface and remind you why you started. They pull you forward when your energy is low and your circumstances feel heavy. It is like building a mental anchor that keeps you steady no matter how strong the storm becomes. This practice does more than keep your goals alive. It reshapes your identity for the remainder of your life. Over time, you stop thinking of your vision as something you want and begin to see it as something you are destined to live. The line between you are and who you are becoming starts to fade. You no longer feel like someone chasing a dream. You feel like someone stepping into their rightful place. That shift in identity creates an unstoppable kind of confidence. Eventually, the repetition becomes second nature. You no longer have to force yourself to speak it. It flows naturally in your thoughts and your actions. People around you begin to sense it in the way you carry yourself, even before the results. For the remainder of life, your journey will never look exactly like anyone else's, and that is how it is meant to be. The moment you compare your pace to someone else's, you rob yourself of the joy in your own progress. You begin to measure your worth by achievements that were never meant for you. The truth is, your race is yours alone. Every step, every stumble, every victory belongs to your story. No one can run it for you, and no one can take it from you. When you accept that your path is unique, you stop feeling behind when others seem ahead, Their success does not diminish yours, it simply shows what is possible in a different lane. For the remainder of your life, you realize there is no single timeline for greatness, and what matters most is that you keep moving forward on your own. This perspective frees you from unnecessary pressure and allows you to focus fully on your own growth. The danger of comparison is that it distracts you from your own potential. For the remainder of your life, while you are busy watching someone else's progress, you forget to take the next step in your own. But when you bring your focus back to your lane, you can see clearly what you need to do next. You begin to pour your energy into actions that actually move you closer to your goals, rather than into thoughts that only drain you. Running your own race also gives you a deeper sense of fulfillment. Every milestone becomes personal because you know the cost of every sacrifice, every late night for the remainder of your life, every moment you want to quit but didn't. Victory feels different when you earned it through your own path rather than trying to copy someone else's. The satisfaction's not just from reaching the finish line, but from knowing you stayed true to yourself along the way. In time, for the remainder of your life, you will look back and be grateful that you didn't abandon your unique path to follow someone else's, for you will see how every twist and turn prepared you for the life you are now living. Fear will always show up when you are about to do something meaningful. It will whisper warnings in your mind, painting vivid pictures of failure and embarrassment. It will remind you of every time you stumbled before and convince you that this time will be no different. But fear's power only lasts as long as you listen in silence. The moment you respond with action, its voice begins to fade. Action proves that fear cannot control you unless you allow it to. The first step you take while afraid is the hardest, but it is also the most transformative. That step is where courage is born, not when you feel safe, but when you move forward despite the shaking hands and racing heart. Every time you answer fear with action, you teach yourself that fear does not define what you are capable of. The more often you do this, the smaller fear becomes until it no longer has the same grip on your life. Fear often lies about the consequences of trying. It exaggerates the risks and hides the potential rewards. By acting anyway, you expose its deception. You begin to see that the outcome is rarely as catastrophic as fear suggested, and this realization builds confidence. Over time, this confidence grows into trust in your ability to handle discomfort, adapt to setbacks, and rise stronger after every challenge. Remainder of your life, answering fear with action also trains your mind to seek growth instead of comfort. While others wait to feel ready for the remainder of life, you step forward and gain experience that cannot be learned from the sidelines. This willingness to act, while afraid, separates those who remain stuck from those who transform their lives. The more you practice this for the remainder of your life, the less you wait for courage to appear, and the more you create it through motion. Eventually, you will notice that fear becomes a signal rather than a barrier. When it whispers for the remainder of your life, you will understand that it often points toward the very thing you are meant to do. Instead of retreating, you will lean in for the remainder of your life, knowing that the discomfort you feel is proof that you are stretching into something greater. And in the thoughts you allow into your mind are the seeds you plant for your future. If you let gossip, distractions, and negativity take root, they will grow into doubt and hesitation. For the remainder of your life, choking out your potential, every careless word you entertain from others, every unnecessary distraction you accept, becomes an obstacle to your progress. For the remainder of your life, but when you guard your mind and choose only what builds you, you create an environment where growth becomes inevitable. This isn't about shutting the world out. It's about protecting the space where your dreams are being built. Guarding your mind requires intentional choices. For the remainder of your life, it means saying no to conversations that drag you into drama and yes to thoughts that push you forward. For the remainder of your life, it means limiting the influence of people who feed your insecurities and surrounding yourself with those who believe in your vision. It is not always easy. Sometimes negativity comes from people you care about, but protecting your future demands the courage to set boundaries that keep you aligned with your purpose. For the remainder of your life, when you remove distractions, you begin to see how much energy they were quietly stealing from you. For the remainder of your life, gossip and negativity drain focus because they force your mind to dwell on things outside your control. The moment you cut them off, that energy returns for the remainder of your life, and you can pour it into the work that truly matters. This shift often reveals just how capable you always were. It was never about lacking potential, only about being pulled in too many directions. Focusing only on words that build you is not just about positivity, it is about strategy. Every time you affirm your vision, you strengthen your belief in it. Every time you remind yourself of your goals, you reinforce the path you are on. Over time, these small reinforcements shape your decisions, and those decisions shape your life. It is not magic. It is the inevitable result of consistently feeding your mind with what empowers you. As this habit grows, you will notice an inner peace that others may not understand. While they are consumed by distractions, you remain grounded in purpose. Their chaos no longer shakes you. For the remainder of your life, the idea that happiness, success, or peace will come someday in the future is one of the most dangerous illusions we hold. We convince ourselves that once certain conditions are met, more money, more time, better circumstances, then we will finally feel worthy, fulfilled, or at peace. But waiting for the perfect moment means you may never begin at all. Life does not reward hesitation. It rewards those who decide today is enough to start of your life. Right now is the only moment you can act upon, and the sooner you claim it, the sooner your life begins to shift. Believing you are worthy now does not mean you are finished growing. It means you are allowing yourself to grow from a place of strength rather than from a place of lack. When you treat yourself as someone deserving in this moment, for the remainder of your life, you stop postponing your dreams and start living them step by step. You no longer have to wait for permission to feel confident or to take action. You grant that permission to yourself. Many people spend their entire lives in a cycle of waiting. They wait for more confidence to speak, more courage to act, more signs to begin. But confidence and courage are built through doing, not waiting. The sooner you step forward, the sooner you discover that you are far more capable than you believed. Waiting does not remove fear. It feeds it. Action, even small action, is what breaks its grip. Choosing right now also frees you from the trap of regret. Every moment you delay is a moment you cannot get back. By acting in the present, for the remainder of your life, stop piling up what-ifs and start building a track record of progress. Each step, no matter how small, becomes proof that you are no longer waiting for life to happen. You are creating it. Eventually, this habit of choosing now transforms the way you see time. The future stops feeling distant, and you realize it is built in each decision you make today. By living fully in this moment, for the remainder of your life, you begin crafting the future you once thought you had to wait for. And when you look back, for the remainder of your life, you will see that the turning point was never a single event. It was the moment you decided to stop waiting and start becoming.